The hospital discharged me earlier than expected. My legs were useless, stitched and bound, and the wheelchair groaned when the nurse pushed me outside. I texted her, "Just got discharged. Doctor said I can't walk yet. Can you pick me up when you have time?" I waited. My pulse was slow, too slow for the cold anger already stirring. The reply came quick. "My mother said we can't keep dropping everything for you every time. Just call an Uber." A short message, cruel in its simplicity. I stared at the screen, reading it again and again until the words lost shape. Around me, people were meeting loved ones. Cars pulled in, families reunited, arms, laughter, warmth. And me? Abandoned with a broken body, holding a phone that now felt heavier than my fractured bones. I didn't text back. I didn't curse or plead or call. I just sat in that chair, the wheels locked, while something inside me shifted. A clean break. Not in my legs, in my trust. At first I told myself she was stressed, overwhelmed, that caretaking had worn her thin. But beneath the excuse was a voice whispering something uglier. She didn't want to be here. Not really. Not for me. Her mother's words. That was the scapegoat she used. My mother said. Always her mother. As if every decision, every rejection could be pushed off onto someone else. But the truth was simple. She didn't want to pick me up. She didn't want the burden. That night, when I finally limped into the house on crutches, she was on the couch, phone in hand, smiling at something I couldn't see. "Sorry," she said, eyes still on the screen. "I didn't think it was a big deal." Not a big deal? My absence hadn't mattered. My pain hadn't mattered. But something, or someone, on that glowing screen did. And that was the first cut deeper than the stitches in my legs. I began watching. Quietly. She locked her phone more often now, took calls in the kitchen, in the yard, in her car, always hushed tones, always walking away. Her laughter came alive in those conversations, laughter I hadn't heard in months. I checked the phone bill, the same number, repeated, at midnight, at lunch, in the mornings before work. I searched it, a man, not a stranger, someone she had known years ago. Someone I had never been meant to find. The patterns emerged quickly, the lies disguised as errands, the sudden grocery runs, the gym trips that left no trace of sweat. And the worst part? She was careful. Too careful, almost professional in her deceit, which told me this wasn't new. So I stayed calm. I ate dinner with her, slept beside her, let her think she still played the role of a wife. Meanwhile, I collected bank records, location histories, screenshots forwarded to an empty account she didn't know existed. Every lie she lived, I harvested, quietly, efficiently, and all the while she smiled at me with practiced ease, not knowing I had already set the clock ticking on her borrowed time. The proof came wrapped in pixels and numbers, her messages to him, unmistakable. Explicit, promises of leaving me once the timing was right, mockery of my injuries, plans that placed him in our home when I wasn't supposed to be there. I read them all without flinching, without rage, just calculation. When she came home that evening, I left the laptop open on the table. She froze when she saw it, her face drained, fingers trembling as they hovered above the trackpad. You went through my things?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The truth sat between us, undeniable, brutal. Her lips quivered. Excuses tumbled half-formed. She tried to close the screen, but I didn't move. I just watched as her mask cracked, as panic set in. She was broken before I ever said a word. The next morning, I left the house early. She thought I was still asleep. I walked into her mother's home, sat across from the woman who had always despised me, who whispered poison into her daughter's ear, and I handed her the printed stack, every message, every betrayal. She read them, silent, her lips pressed thin. "Your daughter," I said calmly, "is moving in with him. She's been planning it for months. She's been laughing at you, too. I left the papers on the table. No threats, no anger. Just the truth, delivered like a blade pressed into someone else's hand. By the time I returned home, her phone was already exploding with calls. Her mother's voice, shrill and vicious, tore through the walls. She looked at me then, eyes wide, face pale. She knew I had done it. And still, I said nothing. I don't remember her tears. I don't remember her apologies. What I remember is the silence that followed after I stopped listening. Betrayal doesn't burn. It freezes. It calcifies. And once it hardens, there is no thaw. I had wasted years believing her smiles, carrying her excuses. But that night in the hospital parking lot had shown me everything. I was disposable to her, a burden, an afterthought. Now she is the one discarded, and I feel nothing. The last words I ever gave her were the truest. You told me to call an Uber. Consider this the ride I'll never come back from.